The Whispering Manor. At the edge of a small, fog-drenched village, there stood an ancient mansion known as Whispering Manor. The grand house, with its crumbling stone walls and ivy-choked turrets, had been abandoned for decades. Villagers whispered tales of ghostly apparitions, chilling cries, and shadows that moved on their own. Yet no one dared venture too close, except for Mira. Mira was a curious young woman with a love for unraveling mysteries. She had recently moved to the village to write a book about local legends, and the manor's ominous history intrigued her. Despite the warnings from the villagers, Mira decided to investigate. Armed with her notebook, flashlight, and a sturdy pair of boots, she approached the mansion on a cold, moonlit night. The iron gates screeched in protest as she pushed them open. A chilling breeze swept past, carrying with it a faint whisper that sent shivers down her spine. Ignoring her unease, Mira pressed on, her flashlight beam cutting through the dense fog. Inside the mansion, the air was heavy and cold. The grand foyer was a shadow of its former glory, a shattered chandelier dangled precariously, and the floorboards groaned under her weight. As Mira explored, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. In the drawing room, Mira discovered a dusty piano. Curious, she pressed a key, and the note echoed eerily through the empty house. To her shock, a second note played on its own, followed by another, forming a haunting melody. Mira froze, her heart pounding. "Who's there?" she called, her voice trembling. The whispers began. Faint at first, like the rustle of leaves, then growing louder, surrounding her. The words were indistinct, but the tone was mournful. Mira's courage wavered, but her curiosity kept her rooted. She followed the sound up a grand staircase and down a dim corridor, where a faded portrait caught her eye. It depicted a beautiful woman with sad eyes, dressed in a flowing gown. Beneath the portrait, a plaque read, "Eleanor Ravenscroft, 1892 to 1915. Mira felt a chill run through her. The name was familiar. Eleanor was said to have been the last resident of the manor. According to legend, she had fallen in love with a stable boy, a forbidden romance that ended tragically when her jealous fiancé discovered their secret. Both Eleanor and the stable boy were said to have vanished without a trace. As Mira stared at the portrait, the whispers grew louder, and the temperature plummeted. The flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, a translucent woman in a flowing gown, her face eerily similar to the one in the portrait. "Help me," the apparition whispered, her voice filled with sorrow. Mira's fear melted into compassion. "How? What happened to you?" she asked. The ghost extended a hand, beckoning Mira to follow. She led her to a hidden door behind a tapestry. Inside was a narrow staircase descending into the earth. At the bottom, Mira found a small, forgotten cellar. In the corner lay two skeletons, their hands intertwined. The ghost of Eleanor knelt beside the remains, her form shimmering with grief. "They tried to separate us, but we vowed to stay together. Even in death," she said, her voice barely audible. "Please, give us peace." Understanding her request, Mira contacted authorities the next day. The remains were given a proper burial in the village cemetery, beneath a shared headstone. That night, the whispers ceased, and the villagers noticed something remarkable. The once foggy grounds of Whispering Manor were now clear and bathed in moonlight. The oppressive air was gone, replaced with a sense of calm. Though the manor remained abandoned, Mira often visited the graves, leaving flowers and reflecting on the love that endured beyond death. She published her book, dedicating it to Eleanor and her forbidden love, ensuring their story would never be forgotten.